Cosmic Confluence podcast. Now, yeah, I'm your host, Sana, of course. And listeners, I want you to think something. Rather, I want you to imagine something. Now, let's just imagine for a moment that uh, you are here not just as a listener, but as a part of a circle with me, my guest, and you all. Now, today's conversation touches something most of us live with quietly, yet rarely explore deeply. What's that? It's the subconscious. Now, we often think we are in control, that our willpower, the to do lists, they will shape our lives. But what if the real architect of our health, our business, and even our capacity for joy isn't conscious at all? What if it is hidden deep beneath the surface, quietly writing the script we keep repeating? That's a very interesting question, right, listeners? Our guest today, Christine Peine, knows this story firsthand. She built a successful medtech company while battling burnout, IBS, and chronic pain. She tried everything: therapy, affirmations, hypnosis, but the patterns kept pulling back until she realized it wasn't her, it was her subconscious. And once she rewired those beliefs, everything changed. And today she helps founders and coaches do the same, releasing the patterns that create illness, block income, and keep us hustling toward exhaustion. So, listeners, let's step into this together, not just as an interview, but as a mirror for our own lives. So, Christine, welcome to the show, and I'm really, really excited for this conversation.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for this beautiful introduction. And I'm excited to be sitting with all of you in the circle together and see what magic we're going to create.
Super, super. And Christine, before we begin, I I guess I mispronounced your last name. If that is, then sorry for that. But let's begin with understanding the subconscious. How exactly it is a hidden driver, because we often have understood that subconscious is activated when we are sleeping or when we are in a deep state of sleep, the REM4 one. Then only the subconscious, kind of records, like, registers everything, whatever thoughts or feelings have gone through the entire day through the conscious. I may be wrong, but that's kind of what we often hear. But you say, in your journey of so many, uh, you know, challenges in there, it wasn't you, it was your subconscious. Now, for someone hearing this for the first time, what does that really mean? I mean, how does the subconscious actually run the show when it comes to our health and business?
Yes, that's a very good question. And I feel like right now it's, as you said, it's talked a lot about the subconscious, but very few actually understand how it works and how it influences our life, our business, our success, our health. So
Yeah.
when we think about our capacity, we basically have two different areas. We have the conscious mind, which is about 5 to 7% of our mental activity, shapes 5 to 7% of our behaviors. This is what we're consciously aware of. So, right now, listening to this podcast, listening to our words, you're consciously aware of the words we're speaking. Maybe you're doing something else in the moment. So, you're consciously aware of what else it is that you're doing. But there's a whole other 93 to 95% that is active in the background, and that is the subconscious. And the subconscious is not only active in our sleep, it's active in every single moment, since the moment we're born until the moment we die. So the subconscious is running 95% of our mental activity, of our thoughts, our feelings. It creates our behavior. So when we let that sink in for a moment, it means that we are often not in control of what is happening in our body and what is happening in our environment, but really our subconscious is in control of that.
Mm. That's interesting, Christine. It's very, very interesting. And um, if it is running most of our patterns, does that mean that free will is a kind of an illusion, or can we still consciously override it?
Very good question. Yes. So, I mean, free will, we have free will. Consciously, we have free will. So, consciously, you can start to influence what's happening in your subconscious because it's still like this 5 to 7%. I like to often use the analogy of a mouse and an elephant. So, imagine your conscious mind as a mouse and your subconscious
Oh.
mind as an elephant. If you put a lot of pressure, a lot of action, and a lot of repetition with this mouse in your conscious mind, you can influence parts of the subconscious mind of this big elephant. But generally, if this elephant, if the subconscious mind says, for example, I'm scared to do what we're about to do, or I don't think this is safe, then it's very, very hard to make sure that this elephant is moving in the direction to this place where it thinks it's scared about. So,
Mm.
yes, we have a kind of a free will. I think the free will gets easier and more accessible once we start working with our subconscious and make sure that the beliefs and everything that lives in our subconscious aligns with what we consciously want to do. So that basically the mouse and the elephant, they want to walk in the same direction, and then we can use our free will more easily.
Hmm. That's a very simple way to explain it, and I'm very happy that finally we are addressing the elephant in the room today.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh.
that's a very, very um simple and understandable way to explain it. And talking about your journey, Christine.
Mhm. You want me to share a little bit about how I came to work
Definitely.
with the
Yes,
subconscious
please.
and go deeper?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Please.
Okay. So I founded, as you already said in the introduction, I founded a medtech company where we actually started to help patients with arthritis or a chronic disease to help them heal naturally. And when we set out in the beginning, my big vision was okay, if we just find all of the lifestyle pieces, so maybe the diet, the exercise, a little bit of mental health tools, maybe meditation, if we use all of these correctly, patients can heal. This was my initial thought. And while we were on this journey, yes, many patients they started to heal, they started to get better. And I mean, not everybody, but still a lot. But while I was helping these patients and while we were creating this company, I got sick with so many different things. I was diagnosed with burnout. I had IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, which basically is a lot of constipation and pain in your stomach, no matter what you eat and no matter what you do. I started to have these weird joint pains in my hands, up to the point even that sometimes I couldn't type on my computer, I couldn't hold up a cup. And so I was
Mm.
in the beginning thinking, let's see if I can fix this through lifestyle, maybe also through meditation. And no matter what I did, no matter what I tried, even was if it was modern medicine approaches, if it was hypnosis, affirmations, therapy, so the patterns seemed to improve a little bit, but then the issues they came back. And it was really by chance that one day I was sitting at the beach and I was like, I had like these thoughts in my mind, like, oh my God, I don't know how to heal this. I don't know how to go forward. And I started to like notice these patterns. And I started to notice that like these same thoughts started to repeat. And then when I went home, I opened my Instagram literally and I saw a post from someone that I didn't even know about the subconscious. And this is when I went down the rabbit hole and I was like, what's the subconscious? I mean, I heard of it, but what is it? And I started to understand that all of these patterns, these thoughts even that I was having, that they came from beliefs in my subconscious. And so I went deeper down into the subconscious, understanding it because our subconscious holds our beliefs, our traumas, our experiences, and not only our beliefs from our childhood, but also beliefs from our parents, grandparents,
Yeah.
our ancestors. It holds the beliefs from past lives. It holds soul beliefs. So there's so many things. And I started to go into that and I started to learn how to reprogram these beliefs. And as soon as I started reprogramming, all of my health issues cleared up. I mean, some were faster, like the joint pain went away overnight. The IBS took 2, 3 weeks to then really clear out, but everything healed once I started to address the root cause in my subconscious.
Oh. Did you feel initially overwhelmed or um like surprised? Because when we are having some kind of big realization that all these years of challenges and ups and downs, they are triggered by my subconscious, it may feel uh like a bit overwhelming. At least I would have felt like that. What was your initial first reaction after going through all these information, this information, going through the researches and everything?
Yes, it felt like a roller coaster. So when I found out about the subconscious, I was first very excited because I was like, maybe finally this is what can help me. And then I started to go into the research, and there is not, or I haven't found at the time, I think even up until today, I haven't found a simple explanation somewhere, where you can just read it and really understand how it works because there's a lot of conflicting information. So it
Right.
took me quite some time to get a hang of it and understanding of what is actually going on. And yes, there were moments when I felt overwhelmed because only being aware of your subconscious and only being aware of these beliefs don't change them. You actually need to reprogram them. So
Mm.
I was quite on a journey. I then was lucky enough to find a practice that's called Theta Healing that that allows you to very specifically reprogram beliefs. And ever since I found this practice and then got certified and started working with that, the overwhelm started to
Mm.
fade away because basically then I finally had the tool to not only be aware of what's going on, but actually change it.
Exactly, exactly. That really feels very liberating and empowering when you know that this can change. Uh, and and it did it take a lot of time, or was it instant, Christine? The changes.
So with theta healing, changing a belief is instant. So it takes about a minute or two. If you're like if you know how to do it and if you're experienced in it. But then of course you have to imagine every every disease, pain, even every block. So if it's also like a money block or success or even relationship, all of
Mm.
these things that are happening, they are messages or signs from our body, from our subconscious that something is not in alignment. So
Mm.
it's taken, I mean, specifically in diseases, our body, imagine like every disease is a message. It's like you can imagine it like a car. In the beginning, your car will show you a yellow warning light. And then if you ignore the yellow warning light, at one point it will show you a red warning light. If you ignore the red warning light, your car might break down. It's the same with your body. Your body starts to maybe show you the yellow warning light through fear or maybe like an uncomfortable feeling. You ignore that. So then you start to have pains and symptoms. You ignore that. And then it keeps on getting worse and worse and worse. Now, what we do in the subconscious reprogramming, we change the beliefs. So the actual message that created these warning lights. But then it takes some time for the body to heal and integrate that and for reality to change. And this really depends on what the issue is. So for example, my joint pains, they went away overnight. The IVS, because the stomach is a little bit more complex, I think it took like 2-3 weeks to clear. But so it really depends on the issue.
Hmm. That is very positive to know, Christine. Okay. Uh, and this can really, because I can feel our listeners, they're almost like having that, sigh of relief that thank God it's not just me failing at willpower, but at the same time it also raises a big question, like how much control do we really have? And that can also be sometimes a bit overwhelming to think about. Um, I mean, what's your thought on this, Christine?
Yes, very good question. And for me personally, before knowing about the subconscious, I did often not feel in control. I felt like these health issues, even like success in my business, in my relationship. Like there was like this kind of power that I couldn't name or even see that was driving that no matter what I did. Ever since starting to work with the subconscious and understanding that when I feel that I'm not in power or that something is going on that I can't explain, I first go into the subconscious and usually I find some belief structures, traumas, experiences that that I then know, this is actually creating the situation. That gives me power because then I know and then I have the power afterwards to actually change that and then change my reality with it.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And you have also tried affirmations, hypnosis, therapy. Like these are very popular tools. Many of us we lean on. Why do those self-help and mindset techniques often fail to create lasting change? Especially in business growth.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very good question. The thing with most of these tools, if we take, for example, affirmations and therapy and generally mindset tools, they work with the conscious mind. So they work with these 5% with the most that we talked about in the beginning. And yes, with the conscious mind, you can influence the other 95%, which is your subconscious. But it's a lot harder to try with a mouse to influence an elephant, and because of that, if we use these mindset tools, we need a lot of repetition. I think we often hear it affirmations, you need to do them 21 days or 40 days and really keep on doing them because through your conscious mind, you're trying to program something into your subconscious mind. And it can work. If you, with a lot of repetition, with a lot of discipline, you do that, this can actually work. But oftentimes, and that's the experience from myself and also the work with clients I do, if we have very conflicting beliefs in our subconscious, the affirmations, the therapy being aware, it doesn't go in. So, to give you an example, specifically in business, a lot of people come to me and they have problems with finding clients and making money. Then we go into their subconscious and we find that their subconscious beliefs it's not safe to make money. Some even have obligations, vows to poverty, which are even stronger. And if something like this is living in the subconscious, you can sit down and do affirmations for the next year that says, I will have clients or clients are coming to me. Your subconscious will not allow it because in your subconscious, it's not safe. And that's why these mindset tools often don't work because we don't have the discipline. Our subconscious is literally saying, "No, this is not safe. This is not for me. We're not gonna change."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, and as you mentioned about entrepreneurs, now you also talk about a hidden connection between illness and entrepreneurship, and that's actually a big claim. Now, can you explain how the same subconscious patterns, how they create disease they can also block business growth. We often talk about self-limiting beliefs, or some kind of traumatic experience, or maybe the inherited thoughts and patterns from generations, from our previous generations. The archetypes we talk
Mhm.
about. How there's a connection here?
Well, a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, they come to me often when they are already in stages where they've grown a lot, where they have new clients, where their business is starting to take off. And then suddenly they get these weird health issues. And that's a clear sign that in their subconscious, something didn't feel safe to grow, to get to this level that they're at. But because of the discipline they have, because of the mindset work they did, because of the strategies, they moved forward because, of course, they want to create their impact. But it's like them trying to move forward, and the subconscious is saying, no way, this is not safe. If we grow more, if we have more clients, it will be very dangerous for us. So the subconscious comes in and can actually create pains, diseases, issues in our body, in our life, to make sure that we don't have the capacity and the energy to grow. For example, these wrist pains that I had that I was talking about, when I was first starting to go into coaching and actually helping entrepreneurs, and this was really in the beginning, I knew that this was my purpose. I knew that this would be my next step. But as soon as I invested in a coach to help me get there, I started to get these wrist pains because my subconscious believed it's not safe for me to do this. And the wrist pains, they stopped me from typing, they stopped me from showing up, they stopped me from going towards this path. So that's why I combine like working with these blocks on health and money because in the subconscious they're often the same root blocks.
Hmm. So this is something like, these um, uh, patterns, they are kind of manifesting physically as in form of diseases or
Exactly.
illnesses. Hmm.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, they manifest physically in many different ways. In terms of the body, they can manifest in anxiety, diseases, stress as well. And then in our environment, they manifest clients are not coming in. Maybe we have a lot of fear of showing up. The money is not coming in. The success is not coming in. Maybe our relationship is breaking apart. So it manifests in all of these other ways in our reality that, yeah, that are not so pleasurable for us.
Hmm. And that really hits close because it kind of reframes illness not as a weakness, but almost like a signal, like a whisper, as you mentioned previously, that something's misaligned inside. So, and also, now many of us would think that okay, fine, but wouldn't I first resort to medical attention because it's a physical illness? I mean, does that negate or does that remove the requirement of medical attention, Christine?
Very
As
good
in
question.
this. Mm-hmm.
Yes, very good question. So I don't think we should completely remove medical attention. I still believe it is important. The thing is, and this is from my personal experience and my personal opinion, that often when we go to a doctor, and this might be different in India and in the East than here in the West. I mean, I'm from Germany and I live in Spain. But here in the West, doctors they look at the symptoms that you come with, then they prescribe your medication. And this medication often suppresses the symptoms. So we don't have the pain anymore, but it's not really working with the root issue of the disease. And then what happens is, okay, maybe the medication suppresses the pain enough or suppresses all of this enough. So maybe the thing clears up. But often, in terms of chronic diseases, yeah, nothing really clears up, which has learned to live with these things because we're not listening to the signals, as you mentioned it so nicely, to the messages of our body. And so a lot of people that come to me, they have been through a whole medical journey and they realized the medical system, at least in the West, can only go so far to help them suppress these symptoms so that they can live more or less a normal life, but it's not
Mm,
actually helping them heal the root cause.
mm. Yeah, I mean that's a very balanced approach to it. Very balanced. Um, and I think this is doable as well. Uh, so if let's say someone who's listening to us, they are skeptical, but they also would like to, begin with. What's the simplest way they can test this in their own life, Christine?
Yes. Well, the simplest thing I would say is start informing yourself about your subconscious and then learn how to test for subconscious beliefs. Because we try now, and I imagine now everybody listening, we're like, okay, what is these beliefs that I have in here that might be blocking the success? And so we go at it again from our conscious mind, and it's very hard sometimes to then find these beliefs. But actually, there are different practices where with your body you can test if a subconscious belief is present or not. I have a masterclass on this, which is a free masterclass. So listeners could do this class. It's very simple, but it shows a practice where they could start testing for what's happening in their subconscious to first start generating this awareness. Because once you have this awareness, you have a lot of power, you have a lot of knowledge of what's actually going on, and then you can make a change.
Well, that's a very, very simple way to start, Christine. And of course, if our listeners, they would like to connect with you and get a hold of all the resources that you're providing, along with the masterclass that you mentioned, what should be the easiest way?
The easiest is either going directly to my website. All of the links are there. So it's my name, christinepeine.com. Or I'm very active on Instagram, so they can just go to my Instagram as well. And there also all of the resources are linked and also the masterclass. And of course, they share a lot more knowledge about the subconscious, how to get started working with it, and also then how to, reprogram, because in the end, we want to reprogram these beliefs. So my Instagram is Christine_Peine.
Okay. Ah, great. So I'll make sure to have all the links in the show notes, my listeners. And Christine, I think I really appreciate you not saying mindset replaces strategy, but without the subconscious alignment, strategy alone can keep hitting a ceiling. So thank you so much for very brilliantly and explaining the complex concept here in a very simple way for our listeners with some really really good examples, and of course your journey, it's a success story. And I definitely would like to give a huge thank you to you for sharing all your insights and experiences with us.
Thank you so much as well. I really enjoyed sharing. I really enjoyed your questions. So thank you so much for having me and for everybody who's listening in and probably already being curious. Okay, what's going on in my subconscious and where could I align it more to have more success and health?
Absolutely, absolutely. And listeners, as we wrap up, I want you to take a breath and notice how this conversation feels in your body. Because Kristen hasn't just given us ideas, she has reminded us that the deepest, the most profound shifts happen beneath the surface, where our conscious mind can't always reach. So, if you have ever felt trapped in a cycle of hustling and crashing, health issues mirroring business struggles, today's message is a gentle call. It's not about fixing yourself harder, it's about rewiring the roots. And I would also like all of you to remember that every pattern can be rewritten, every belief can be healed, and from that place, health and business can grow in ways that don't cost you your well being. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and keep listening for the whispers beneath the noise.